Hey everyone, xin chào các bạn. My name is James and today I'm going to do something a little bit different for you. Throughout history, Vietnamese music has not only been influenced by the traditional culture and folk music of Vietnam, but musical trends from all over the world have permeated into the musical culture of Vietnam. One sort of global musical trend that became very popular in Vietnamese music, especially around the 1960s and 70s, was the rise of bands. And as the decades go by, this trend has undergone a sort of evolution, both musically and stylistically and aesthetically. And so in this two-part video, I'm going to be briefly exploring just some of the many bands and musical groups that became popular throughout the different decades. Okay, so let's dive in. The rise of Western music in Vietnam became increasingly popular, especially around the 1960s and 70s, with genres such as classic rock and psychedelic rock, as well as French pop being very popular. Many of you might know that around this time, bands such as the Beatles were becoming a global phenomenon, and this worldwide craze for bands also would make its way into Vietnamese music. Bands were being formed left and right, and many of them were performing Vietnamese translations of English and French songs, as well as original Vietnamese songs that were being written in this Western style of classic rock. Among the countless bands that emerged around this time, probably one of the most notable would be Phượng Hoàng. This band included lead singer Elvis Phương, who many people may know and is still active as a singer to this day, as well as songwriters Lê Hữu Hà and Nguyễn Trung Cang, both of whom wrote many songs for the band that would become very popular and still performed to this day.
Cố gắng yêu thương người, dù người không yêu ta, hãy cứ yêu thương hoài, mặc người ai quên ai, hãy cho nhau một lời, dù là lời nghe chua cay, dù là lời thoáng qua tai.
Other well-known bands in Vietnam during this time included the Strawberry Four, which included songwriters Đức Huy and Tùng Giang, as well as Billy Shane and Bun Ngọc, who many of you may also know. There were also the Dreamers, which included the late singer Duy Quang, other bands such as the trio group Ba Con Mèo or the Cats Trio, as well as the trio Thúy Hà Tú, which consisted of siblings Khánh Hà, Anh Tú, and Thúy Anh. They would go under various different names, including the Blue Jets, and they eventually became known as the Uptight, which came to include more of their siblings, including Lan Anh. After the fall of Saigon in 1975, as the overseas Vietnamese community was getting stronger, so was the Vietnamese music industry. New bands would emerge overseas, one of them being Mây Bốn Phương, which was a family band that included singers such as Phi Khanh and Thái. Mây Bốn Phương were widely known for performing a lot of music in the nhạc trữ tình or nhạc vàng genres, so a lot of older Vietnamese classics. In the 1980s, we started to see the rise of New Wave. At the time, this was a new genre that incorporated a lot of elements of electronic instruments and synthesizers and became very popular with Vietnamese people overseas. And as such, a lot of Vietnamese bands that emerged during this time began playing this style of music. One well-known band during this time was The Magic, which included singer Như Mai as well as musician Quốc Sĩ.
Làn mi ướt mắt nay tròn xoe ngơ ngác, bé ơi nhìn em anh ngẩn ngơ, và anh viết cho em bài ca mơ ước, dù mơ ước chỉ là ước mơ, rồi đêm tối dáng em về gây thương nhớ thương làm anh chết trong mong chờ.
Another very popular band during this time was the GTI Brothers, which included singer and musician GTI, who is now a very successful comedian overseas as well as in Vietnam. The band also included their lead singer and GTI's wife, Phương Loan, as well as Kiều Linh, who has passed away, but he was also known as a comedian, and his role in the band as trumpet player really brought a unique sound for the band at the time.
Sao ta chạy quanh
both the Magic and the GTI Brothers would enjoy a lot of success, especially with Paris by Night in the 80s and 90s. And of course, as we move into the 1990s and into the 2000s, the millennium, we will see this musical trend of bands start to evolve and change to focus more on girl groups and boy bands. But I will save that for part 2 of this video series. So if you enjoyed this video, then please stay tuned for part 2. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below. And if you're interested in checking out more of the music that we talked about today, you can check out the links below in the description. And I'll see you guys next time for part 2. Bye!